Considering the night strikes on Sochi, Ukraine may return to the destruction of Russian oil and refinery facilities.
It started with a low hum in the skies over southern Russian manned drones cutting through the night, heading straight for critical infrastructure. Within minutes, the calm was shattered. Explosions lit up the sky over oil depots near Rostov, Krasnodar, and the Black Sea coastline. By dawn, massive plumes of black smoke were visible for miles. Ukraine had done it, again launched another wave of targeted strikes deep inside Russian territory. But this time, the message was louder than ever. Russia's fuel lifeline is now fair game. These weren't random attacks. The strikes were precise, coordinated, and aimed at key points that power Russia's military machine. Oil storage tanks, refinery facilities, and fuel train terminals. Every target played a role in supplying Russian tanks, aircraft, and logistics on the front lines of Ukraine. The scale and frequency of these operations have grown rapidly over the past month, and it's not just about the damage anymore, it's about the pressure. Ukrainian military officials have called these attacks strategic disruption, a phrase that captures the shift in strategy. Instead of just defending territory or reclaiming occupied towns, Ukraine is hitting Russia where it hurts most: its fuel supply. Without oil, the Russian war machine slows down. Trucks stop, jets stay grounded, artillery units wait longer for resupply. It's not just about explosions, it's about creating bottlenecks that choke Russia's ability to fight. The latest strike near Novorossiysk was especially bold. This port city is home to one of Russia's largest oil terminals, critical for both domestic supply and exports. A successful hit here doesn't just hurt the military, it affects the Russian economy. When fires broke out at multiple oil storage tanks in the facility, emergency services scrambled to contain them. But satellite imagery the next morning confirmed the damage was real and extensive. Russian officials, of course, downplayed the event. State media quickly claimed the attack was repelled or neutralized, but leaked footage and local eyewitnesses told a different story. Fireballs lit up the coastline, sirens wailed for hours, and oil workers were seen evacuating in a rush. These are not signs of confidence, they're signs of panic. What's even more telling is the growing frequency of these strikes. In just the past 2 weeks, more than 12 confirmed hits on oil depots have been reported across southwestern Russia and Crimea, and while Moscow blames Ukraine, it's also quietly reinforcing air defense around critical infrastructure. Pantsir systems and S-400 launchers are now being repositioned closer to refineries and ports, not just military bases. That shift tells us something important. Russia knows these attacks are working, but what really triggered concern inside the Kremlin wasn't just the explosions, it was the proximity. Some of these facilities are located within 200 kilometers of Putin's residence in Sochi. Others are dangerously close to high-value military command centers. The idea that Ukrainian drones can fly this far, undetected, and strike with precision, has forced Russia to rethink its internal security. And while Russian air defenses are trying to catch up, the truth is they're being overwhelmed. Drones are getting smarter, faster, and cheaper. Even with advanced jamming systems and missile shields, not everything can be stopped. Ukraine is exploiting this gap with deadly efficiency. As fuel burns and panic spreads across Russia's southern regions, one question becomes clear: is Ukraine rewriting the rules of this war? The explosions may have lasted only minutes, but their impact could last for months. Ukraine's strikes on oil depots weren't just about fire and smoke. They sent a message that is now rippling through Russia's economy, military operations, and even political structure. What we're witnessing is no longer a hit tactic, it's the start of a pressure campaign targeting the foundation of Russia's war effort: fuel, logistics, and public confidence. Let's talk logistics first. Every military operation depends on fuel. From the trucks hauling ammunition to the helicopters supplying frontline units, nothing moves without diesel, kerosene, or jet fuel. And Russia knows this well. Their vast network of oil refineries and storage facilities were designed to support a full-scale military campaign. But now, that very network is under attack. Take the strike on the Tups oil refinery. For example, this facility processes over 12 million tons of oil per year, a critical piece of infrastructure on the Black Sea coast. When Ukrainian drones struck it, operations were halted. That doesn't just mean temporary repairs, it means rerouting fuel supply across longer, more vulnerable paths. Suddenly, what was a 2-hour drive to a military base becomes a logistical nightmare, stretching already thin resources even further. And it's not just one facility. Satellite data and open-source footage show a pattern: coordinated attacks on oil transport hubs, refueling stations, and rail-linked storage yards. That's where the real disruption happens. Russia relies heavily on railways to move fuel across its massive territory. So when depots near, train lines go up in flames. It's not just about the depot, it's about the trainloads of diesel that won't arrive where they're needed. On the battlefield, this matters. There are already reports from Ukrainian intelligence suggesting delays in Russian tank and vehicle movement in Zaporizhia and eastern Donetsk. While it's hard to confirm exact causes, the timing aligns perfectly with the spike in fuel depot strikes. The longer this continues, the more it forces Russia to slow down, ration resources, and become reactive instead of aggressive. But the impact goes deeper into Russia's economy. Oil is more than just a military resource for Moscow. It's the lifeblood of its state revenue. Around 30 to 40% of the Russian government's budget is derived from oil and gas exports. So when export terminals like Novorossiysk or Primorsky are hit or even just threatened, international buyers notice. Insurance rates spike, shipment schedules are delayed, confidence wavers, and in a fragile economy already under heavy sanctions, these ripple effects add up fast. Even if only a few shipments are disrupted, the psychological toll on investors and traders is enough to move markets. Brent crude prices recently jumped after a drone attack on a Russian terminal. Why? Because markets know one thing: instability equals risk. And Ukraine is now showing it can bring that instability inside Russia's borders with increasing ease. That's why Putin is panicking, not just about the damage, but about the optics. His government has built an image of control, of strength, of invincibility. But these strikes are tearing holes in that illusion. Russian citizens are now waking up to explosions in their own backyard. Oil workers are refusing shifts at night. Emergency sirens are becoming routine in southern cities. And when people start seeing smoke rising from fuel tanks near their homes, the propaganda loses its grip. This growing fear is also affecting Russia's political core. Reports from inside the Kremlin suggest a deepening divide among top officials about how to respond. Some argue for escalation striking harder at Ukrainian infrastructure in retaliation. Others caution restraint, warning that further escalation could invite more NATO-backed support for Ukraine. Either way, there's uncertainty, and that, for an authoritarian regime, is dangerous. So how is Ukraine pulling this off? The answer lies in innovation. Ukraine has rapidly scaled up its drone production, both through domestic innovation and support from allies. These aren't just off-the-shelf consumer drones. Many are custom-built, long-range UAVs, equipped with advanced navigation systems and small payloads that can still cause serious fires when aimed at fuel tanks. They're low-cost, hard to detect, and ideal for swarm tactics. Some drones now fly over 800 kilometers, evading radar by flying low and slow. Others are launched in groups, overwhelming Russian air defenses. Ukraine's strategic use of decoys, jamming, and precise GPS targeting has made even well-defended facilities vulnerable. In fact, analysts now believe that Russia's air defense systems are being stretched too thin, trying to defend too many critical sites at once. This is exactly what Ukraine wants, by keeping Russia guessing, by hitting fuel one day, radar stations the next, and rail hubs the day after. They're forcing Moscow into a defensive crouch. Every ruble spent protecting infrastructure is a ruble not spent on offensive operations. Every fire extinguished in a depot is a delay for a supply convoy heading to the front. And this new doctrine call at asymmetric disruption is catching the attention of Western strategists too. NATO allies are quietly supporting Ukraine's drone program, not just with hardware, but with intelligence, software, and satellite coordination. They've seen how effective this strategy is, and they're helping refine it. Because the truth is, Ukraine's strikes on Russian oil depots aren't just about fuel, they're about breaking momentum. Still, this campaign comes with risks. Each strike pushes the boundaries of what Russia is willing to tolerate. At some point, the Kremlin may retaliate more aggressively, not just against Ukraine, but against foreign suppliers or infrastructure elsewhere. There's also the chance that a miscalculated strike could hit civilian areas and create diplomatic fallout. Ukraine must walk a fine line between pressure and provocation. But for now, the strategy is working. Putin is rattled. His inner circle is unsure, his oil is burning, and the message is loud. Ukraine can reach you anywhere. The battlefield has expanded, and there are no safe zones left, not even deep inside Russia. After multiple oil depots erupted into flames and supply lines buckled, the true shock came not from the smoke, but from the direction of the attack. Reports began emerging that Ukrainian drones had reached within striking distance of a location, believed to be linked to Vladimir Putin's inner circle just outside Gelendzhik, near the Black Sea, while the Russian government denied any breach. Several pro-Russian sources quietly confirmed an incident near a high-security area. The message was clear: even the most guarded locations weren't off-limits anymore. This wasn't just a hit on fuel reserves. It was a hit on the illusion of safety. Ukraine wasn't targeting the Russian people, it was targeting the architecture of power. If drone strikes could happen near a presidential residence, it meant Russia's command centers, leadership zones, and elite hideouts were now within reach. For Putin, this moment was symbolic. His leadership depends on projecting absolute control. But how do you maintain that image when your defense systems fail, your oil depots burn, and enemy drones hum past your coastline? In response, Russia scrambled air defense units to the south. Pantsir and Tor systems were moved closer to strategic coastal zones. But as analysts noted, this sudden redeployment only confirmed how vulnerable those areas truly are. Meanwhile, Ukraine stayed quiet. No flashy video, no dramatic statements. Silence was part of the strategy. The power of the strike was not just in the impact, it was in the uncertainty it created. No one knew when or where the next drone would come from. And that silence rattled Moscow more than noise ever could. For now, the war has changed shape. Ukraine's long-range reach is no longer theory, it's reality. And Putin's carefully built fortress is starting to show cracks, not from bombs, but from belief. Because when even the air above your palace isn't safe, the war is no longer at the front, it's right at your door. It's only getting bigger. Subscribe now and don't miss the next hit.
Завтра додому 20 монголів.